Welcome back. We are continuing with He Was Human by author Red Riviera. Chapter 5.
Elzer was sitting in the community room. The room was a communal space for crewmates to intermingle on the Galaxy cargo ship they were on. Since it could be roughly what constituted months for most species on board the ship before landfall, a communal space for social interaction was required. Mostly to prevent space madness, your typical sapient couldn't handle being unable to relax in some way for so long. Especially death worlders like Elzer. Predatory instincts usually meant a desire to run free. Thinking about that, James's behavior seemed to point more and more at being predatory. In the middle of this communal space that James seemed to frequent was something called a pool table. It was a game where the goal was to hit several balls with a stick in a particular fashion and get all the balls in the pockets in the corners and middle of the table, but you had to use the white-colored balls to hit all the other colors. You also had to pot, as James had put it, the black ball last only after all the other colors you were responsible for potting and getting it into one of the pockets before this meant losing the game. This game James had introduced to the ship was intricate, to say the least. Some members of the crew were from planets that had variations of this game, but they were simple by comparison. Usually not involving the strange white ball as a component, or not using the sticks in the same strange fashion, if at all. It was popular with the crew. The several layers made people familiar with simpler versions see it as a challenge, and the competitive nature appealed to species known to be aggressive. Some of the more able-minded species like the Grenjik took to carefully planning and calculating each move on their personal computers before making a move. Elzer herself enjoyed the challenge of the game immensely. That should have been the first clue. James was carnivorous himself. It was a game designed to entertain predators, that's why it was so complex compared to other species versions. The fact that predators had better entertainment was a universal constant. All that aggression had to go somewhere when they weren't fighting. It was the death world stereotype Elzer didn't mind. She sighed. James was a species from outside the Alliance, but he was an arboreal species, an ape, or ape-like lineage. There were several in the Alliance and they had the same common trends: strong upper body, long grasping hands, feet, arms, and legs, monocular vision, and a diet that typically involved an enjoyment of fruits in some way. He was a mammalian sapient, so they were compatible with some work, and arboreal species were a good match with Raxum due to their upper body strength and depth perception. It made fitting into Raxum's society easy despite being a hybrid. As if to answer his worries, James appeared next to her.
"What's ailing you, Elzer?"
he asked firmly.
End of chapter. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, and visit the author, and I'll see you next time. If you didn't, comment on what I can do better. And as usual, have a wonderful day.